Hi, I'm Nate, 30, and 2 weeks ago my parents told me they borrowed my entire down payment to fund my sister's destination wedding in Greece. It was over meatloaf. Meatloaf. Mom called it. A special family dinner. Which already made my left eye twitch because she only pulls that card when someone's either dying, divorced, or deeply in debt. Turns out, it was none of those. It was worse. I showed up to their house on a rainy Saturday, soaking wet, my coat still dripping as I stepped into the kitchen to the smell of overcooked beef and guilt. My dad barely looked up from carving, which should have been my first red flag. The second was my sister, Brooke, sitting there in full glam makeup at 6 p.m. like we were mid-season finale of The Bachelor. "Sweetheart," Mom said, clasping her hands like she was about to announce someone's engagement, or a war crime. "We need to talk about something important. No one's dying, right?" I joked. Classic deflection. Mom didn't laugh. "We used your house fund," Dad blurted. Just like that. No foreplay. No build-up. Just jammed it in between meatloaf and mashed potatoes. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. I blinked. "I'm sorry, you what?" Mom nodded, as if he just said we borrowed your blender. "Your house savings account, the one we've been holding for you since college, we used it to help Brooke with her wedding." Brooke chimed in, beaming like this was great news. "Santorini, Nate. We're doing it at the villa with the infinity pool. You'll die when you see the photos. You spent my house deposit on a wedding." "On your wedding?" I repeated, like maybe if I said it enough, it would become less psychotic. "It's not gone," Mom insisted. "It's just been allocated. Think of it as an investment in family memories." "Memories that involve me being homeless?" I shot back. Brooke rolled her eyes and sipped her wine like this was beneath her. "Don't be dramatic. You're not even dating anyone. What were you going to do with the house? Live in it alone like a hermit?" Dad cleared his throat like he wanted to crawl into the mashed potatoes and disappear. "We figured Brooke needed it more. You're young, successful. You'll bounce back." There it was. The golden child clause. She needed it more. I'd been saving for that down payment for 8 years. Birthday checks, freelance gigs, tax refunds I didn't blow on sneakers. Every cent had gone into that account. And they'd just given it away like it was a Target gift card. I stared down at my plate, the meatloaf now cold and congealed, and realized something snapped. Not gently. Not gradually. Like a bone. I looked up, smiled, and said, "You guys are going to love what happens next." Then I stood up, walked to the coat rack, and grabbed my jacket. Because they had no idea I had a second account. And they were about to learn exactly how many bridges I was willing to burn. I didn't slam the door when I left. I didn't yell. I didn't even finish my meatloaf. That's how serious it was. Nate Marshall doesn't leave a meal unfinished unless nuclear betrayal is on the table. I drove home in silence, rain streaking across the windshield like a soundtrack to a tragic origin story. I didn't even put on music. Just sat there in the eerie quiet, my hands gripping the steering wheel like it might fly off into space if I let go. The moment I got inside, I went straight for my laptop. Because here's what my family didn't know, that house savings account they'd been proudly managing for me since I was 21. I'd stopped funneling money into it the second I realized Brooke got a $30,000 graduation party, and I got a JCPenney suit and a handshake. Instead, I'd opened an entirely separate account. No parental access. No cutesy name like Nate's Nest Egg. Just cold, boring numbers. It sat in a high-yield online bank and held exactly $92,346.87. I stared at the number for a solid 5 minutes, letting it sink in that this was the reason I didn't have to spiral. They hadn't gutted me. Not really. They just assumed I was dumb enough to trust them. My phone started buzzing again, Mom, then Dad, then Brooke. I let it ring. Brooke's voicemail came through first, chipper and utterly psychotic. "Hey little brew! Can't wait for you to see the villa. Bring a date, or not, whatever. We'll set you up with someone cute. Love you." I stared at the phone like it was a crime scene. Then came Mom's text, "We didn't think you'd react like this. Please let's talk." And finally, my favorite, Dad, in classic boomer caps lock, "Don't do anything stupid, son." Oh, Dad. Too late. The next morning, I went full scorched earth. First, I called a lawyer, Bree Warner, friend of a friend, real estate attorney with a no bullshit attitude and a voice like she chewed glass for breakfast. I explained everything. The custodial account. The unauthorized withdrawal. The magical Greek wedding. Let me guess, she said. Your name was still technically on the account, but so were your parents. Exactly. Well, she sighed. They might have technically been within legal rights, but you've got options. If they use that money for someone else's benefit without your permission? That's leverage. Especially if we go public. I paused. Go public? She chuckled darkly. You want to see what kind of fun we can have with a well-worded cease and desist and a public shaming? We can make it rain subpoenas and family tension. Your call. I didn't want revenge. Not really. I just wanted to never, ever be treated like the spare part again. The afterthought? The one who gets robbed because. You'll be fine. I asked her to draft the paperwork. By noon, she'd emailed a formal notice to my parents, demanding restitution or full legal disclosure of the account's activity, outlining civil liability and potential fraud if they'd represented the account as solely mine to institutions. Within 3 hours, Mom called me sobbing. Sweetheart, you sued us? No, Mom. Not yet. This is me politely asking for my money back before we go full Netflix true crime. But your sister is not my dependent. I snapped. And neither are you. Then I hung up. Brooke texted me later that night. Wow. You're really doing this? Over some stupid money? It's not stupid, I replied. It's just not yours. And that's when she sent me the text. The one that broke the last thread. This is why no one takes you seriously. You hold grudges, you overreact, and you'll end up alone in a condo full of cats. I laughed. Out loud. Because guess what? I like cats. And I was about to buy that condo anyway, with my money, not theirs. By the end of the week, the family chat was a smoking crater. Brooke left a 3-minute voice message calling me vindictive, selfish, and my personal favorite, a financial sociopath. I saved it in a folder labeled evidence, just in case I ever needed to prove why I blocked my own sister. Meanwhile, Mom was sending daily texts that sounded like a guided tour through Guilt City. You've always been the mature one, Nate. Please don't tear the family apart over a misunderstanding. A wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Isn't family worth more than money? And my personal favorite. You don't understand the pressure we were under. Brooke was going to cancel everything. We couldn't let her be embarrassed. Oh no. Not embarrassment. God forbid the queen of passive-aggressive brunches had to downgrade from Santorini to, I don't know, Ohio. But then it escalated. A certified letter arrived at my apartment, actual physical mail, which already felt hostile. Inside? A formal request from my parents to drop the legal threats and a proposal for mediation. I called Bree. They want mediation? She said dry. What do you want? Honestly? I said, pacing my kitchen. I want them to admit what they did. And I want them to feel the same helplessness I felt when I found out. Bree whistled. Cold. I like it. That night, I logged into my private savings account, the one my parents never knew existed, and did something symbolic. I scheduled a wire transfer. To myself. From that account to my newly opened home loan escrow. I was buying the condo. Not a hypothetical, not a someday. An actual down payment on a top-floor, corner unit condo with a balcony big enough for a grill and 2 chairs. A space I could call mine. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Let them think they'd ruin me. Let Brooke have her blue and white wedding photos, her champagne tower, her Instagram reel with Coldplay playing in the background. Let her have it all. Because here's the thing, Brooke's wedding was paid for with someone else's sacrifice. Mine? My home? That was paid for with boundaries. With me finally choosing myself. I was still celebrating that silent win when I got the text from an unknown number. Hey Nate. It's Brian. From college. Saw your post about moving. Congrats, man. Weird question. Did you really sue your parents over a wedding? Pause. I stared at my phone. What post? I muttered out loud. I opened Facebook. And there it was. A long, public post on Brooke's timeline. Over 500 words of flaming trash fire disguised as a heartfelt family essay. It started with, I never thought my own brother would betray me. And ended with, he's dead to me now. And oh, the comments. Aunt Lisa with the, some people never understand the meaning of sacrifice. Cousin Kyle chiming in with a gif of a dumpster fire. Random sorority friends leaving, sending love, like I had been arrested. Brooke had turned the internet into her personal courtroom, and I was the villain. But they didn't know one thing. I was about to go very public myself. So, apparently I was now the villain in a family soap opera, and Brooke had cast herself as the heartbroken protagonist bravely battling an evil brother and a tight budget. Cute. Too bad she didn't know I owned the receipts. Literally. I spent the next 2 hours crafting my post. Not petty. Not ranting. Just facts. Cold, clean, devastating facts. I started with a screenshot of the account, my name only, showing the withdrawal of nearly $40,000. Then a snippet of the email from the lawyer explaining my legal rights. Then a bullet point list titled, What Actually Happened. My parents were custodians of a savings account meant for my first home. Without my consent, they emptied it to pay for my sister's destination wedding. When I objected, they told me I was overreacting, and that I'd bounce back. I am 30. I work in data analytics. I've been saving for nearly a decade. I did bounce back, because I had a second account they didn't know about. No, I'm not suing anyone yet. No, I don't need sympathy. But if you're gonna roast me publicly, at least let me bring my own lighter. I kept names out of it. I didn't even tag Brooke. Just posted it to my profile and logged off. The next morning? Boom. Over 1,200 likes. Dozens of comments. And a text from Aunt Lisa that just said, wow. Didn't know the whole story? Yeah. Nobody did. By noon, Brooke had deleted her post. By 2 p.m., Mom texted a passive-aggressive, you didn't have to embarrass us like that. To which I replied, you didn't have to steal from me. Here we are. But the real shock came that night. I was finishing up some work emails when my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize, which I normally ignore, but something told me to answer. Nate? Came a gruff voice. This is Doug. Brooke's future father-in-law. Oh, I said slowly, sitting up straighter. Hi. Mind if I ask you something blunt? Go ahead. Did they really take your house money to pay for this wedding? Yes. Long pause. Then a dry chuckle. Jesus. That girl said it was a family gift. Told me her parents wanted to do it. Well, I said, they did want to. Just not with their own money. Doug sighed. My wife and I offered to cover the catering. She turned us down. Said she had it handled. Now I know why. There was a silence between us. Not awkward. More like mutual understanding. I'm sorry you got dragged into this, Nate, he said finally. You didn't deserve that. Thanks. That means a lot. Then he said something that made my jaw drop. If it's any consolation, I just had a long talk with my son. This wedding? It's off. I blinked. Wait, what? They're postponing indefinitely. Brandon's not comfortable with how everything's gone down. Says he's seeing a side of Brooke he didn't like. I sat there stunned. Not because I wanted them to break up. But because, for once, someone besides me saw it. All of it. The entitlement. The manipulation. The way my family twisted sacrifice into servitude. And it felt validating. Strange. A little sad, honestly. But mostly, like I was finally stepping out of the fog. An hour later, Brooke texted me. Short. Brutal. You ruined my engagement. I stared at it for a while. Then typed back, no, Brooke. You did that all by yourself. The fallout came faster than I expected. Brooke's Instagram, which 2 days earlier had been a curated highlight reel of bridal fittings and future misses hashtags, went dark. Comments on her last few posts vanished. Her profile picture changed from a beaming selfie in Santorini to a neutral logo for her wellness coaching business. Which, side note, I never understood considering she survives on oat milk lattes and rage. Meanwhile, the family text thread exploded. Aunt Lisa, why am I learning about this on Facebook? Cousin Jill, I thought the wedding was still on? What's happening? Mom, this isn't a public matter. Nate, take down that post right now. Me, no. Dad, finally chiming in, can we please talk as a family before we do any more damage? Damage? You mean like siphoning my life savings and mocking me for not being married? Yeah, Dad. The damage was already done. I just happened to be the first one willing to flip on the lights and let everyone see the mess. But then, because the universe is petty and has perfect comedic timing, I got an invitation to Brooks' new plan. It was a hand-delivered envelope. Gold calligraphy. No return address. Inside, a single card. Brunch and bounce back. Hosted by Brooke. To celebrate new beginnings and self-love. No gifts. Just good vibes. I almost choked on my coffee. She was throwing herself a breakup brunch. And she invited me. I stared at the card for a solid 10 minutes, wondering if this was some kind of elaborate trap. Like, would there be mimosa-fueled testimonials about how I destroyed her dream life? Would there be a piñata with my face on it? I didn't RSVP. But I did go. Because I had one thing left to do. When I arrived at the restaurant, this obnoxious rooftop place that served pancakes shaped like hearts and had "Live, laugh, love" stenciled in gold on the walls, Brooke's eyes widened like I was a ghost. You came, she said, blinking. I did. She looked around nervously. It's just women. It's kind of a girl power thing. Perfect, I said, sliding into a chair next to her. She sat stiffly, sipping a smoothie. If you're here to make a scene, don't. I'm trying to move on. I smiled. So am I. I reached into my bag and pulled out a slim manila envelope. Her expression froze. What's that? An invoice. For what? For damages, I said sweetly. Itemized. She opened it slowly, scanning the list: lost interest on stolen funds, legal fees, therapy co-pays, and my personal favorite, a line item labeled emotional labor caused by gaslighting and betrayal during dinner. Total, $3,287.42. I wasn't actually expecting her to pay it. But I wanted her to see it. To name it. To realize I wasn't just some passive brother she could walk over. She stared at the paper, mouth open. You're insane. Maybe, I said, rising. But at least I'm debt-free. Then I leaned in close. Oh, and Brooke? No one ruined your wedding. You did that when you decided my money mattered more than our relationship. And with that I walked out. Straight into a beautiful, ridiculous, empowering rooftop breeze. I never looked back. By Monday morning, the group chat was a full-blown battlefield. Apparently, word of the invoice incident had spread. Fast. Aunt Lisa texted, "Did you actually hand Brooke a bill at her brunch?" Followed by 6 question marks and a crying laugh emoji, which felt emotionally mixed. Brooke, of course, responded with a novella. Nate showed up to humiliate me in front of my friends. This is classic middle child bitterness. He's always resented that I got more attention, even though he was clearly the favorite for being the smart one. He's acting like I robbed a bank, not borrowed from our family. I took a screenshot, laughed for a solid 10 seconds, then blocked the group chat entirely. Poof. Gone. Because something had shifted. For the first time in my life, I didn't need their version of me. I wasn't the quiet one, or the easy one, or the doormat who keeps the peace. I was the guy with a mortgage pre-approval, a signed offer on a condo with a view, and a lawyer who casually said things like emotional damages, without blinking. And my family? They were spiraling. But I was thriving. 2 weeks later, I moved into my new place. The building smelled like fresh paint and possibility. My condo was small but mine, all hardwood floors, a natural light, and a balcony that felt like a throne. I posted a photo of my new keys on Instagram with the caption, "Turns out I didn't need a villa in Santorini. Just some peace and a decent credit score." The comments rolled in. Monica from work. Congrats. Invite us over. My old roommate Jake. Finally, a place where your plants can die in peace. Even Bree, my lawyer, commented, "Good luck with the HOA. Call me when they inevitably lose their minds about patio furniture." I felt lighter than I had in years. That night, I made dinner barefoot, played music way too loud, and toasted myself with a cheap glass of red wine. Because here's the thing. I didn't win by getting revenge. I won by getting out. Out of the guilt trap. Out of the favoritism dynamics. Out of a house where love was conditional and sacrifice was currency. They hadn't just stolen my money. They'd tried to write my role for me. And I'd rewritten the entire damn script. But of course, the peace didn't last long. A week after I moved in, a letter showed up. Real envelope. Real handwriting. From Dad. Inside, a 2-page letter. No dramatic fonts, no. "We miss you." No attempts to pretend it didn't happen. Just this. "Nate. We've been doing some reflecting. Your mother and I are in therapy now. Real therapy. Not just the once-a-year, check-a-box kind. You forced us to look at ourselves. At the choices we made. At the ways we hurt you. And you were right. We failed you. You're not the problem. You never were." I sat there on my brand new couch, the sunlight pouring across my hardwood floor, reading a letter I never thought I'd receive. No ask. No guilt. Just regret. Accountability. Almost. Because the very last line? "Brooke's still struggling. We're not asking you to help. But maybe someday you'll forgive her." That part? That was going to take time. The letter sat on my coffee table for days, unopened after the first read, like a weird emotional grenade I wasn't ready to disarm again. I didn't text my parents. I didn't respond. But I didn't throw it away either. That, I figured, counted as progress. Meanwhile, Brooke went quiet. No texts. No social posts. No brunch recaps. For the first time in her adult life, she wasn't broadcasting her every bowel movement to the internet, which, honestly, was both suspicious and refreshing. Until one afternoon, I was standing in line at my local coffee shop, trying to convince myself I didn't need a croissant the size of a toddler's face, when I felt a tap on my shoulder. "Nate?" I turned, and there she was. Brooke. Makeup-free. Hair in a messy bun. Dressed in athleisure that had definitely seen a real gym. Holding a plain black coffee like it personally offended her. "Hey," I said cautiously. She looked nervous. Tired. Human. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said. "I live nearby now." "Oh. Right. The new place." She smiled faintly, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Congrats." "Thanks." There was a silence between us, heavy with things we weren't saying. Then she took a deep breath and said, "I owe you more than brunch invitations and fake apologies." I blinked. "I've been in therapy," she added. "Real therapy. Weekly. My therapist said I've spent most of my life assuming love meant entitlement. That if people didn't give me what I wanted, they didn't love me enough." I tilted my head. "That tracks." She let out a bitter laugh. "I didn't realize how deep the favoritism went. Or how much I benefited from it. Until everything fell apart." "What made you finally get it?" I asked, genuinely curious. She hesitated. "Brandon left." "Oh. I didn't know." "It's fine," she said quickly. "It needed to happen. He told me he couldn't be with someone who didn't take responsibility for anything. Said I was emotionally bankrupt." She gave a weak smile. "Which, ironically, I was financially bankrupt too. So it was a full circle moment." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to gloat. Part of me wanted to hug her. Neither part won. "I'm not asking for us to be close again," she said. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not just for the money. For all of it. For the comments. For the years of acting like your life was less than mine. It wasn't. It was just yours. And that made me feel small." I swallowed hard. "You always seemed okay without help. Like you had it all figured out. And I hated that. Because I didn't." I studied her face. She meant it. For once, there was no angle, no performance. Just a woman who'd finally seen the mirror and didn't look away. "Thanks," I said. "I appreciate that." She nodded. We stood in line in silence for a minute. Then the barista called her name. She picked up her drink, turned to me. "I hope you're happy now," she said. "I am." She smiled. This time, it reached her eyes. "Good." And then she walked out. No tears. No hug. No forced reconciliation. Just peace. Like we'd finally set down a weight neither of us realized we'd been carrying since childhood. 3 months passed. I didn't hear from Brooke again. No surprise brunches. No cryptic texts. No invoices for emotional damage from her side, which, frankly, felt like personal growth. Instead, life settled into something shockingly simple. I furnished the condo room by room, slowly. No pressure. Just joy. A couch that didn't come in a box. Art I actually liked. Plants I almost remembered to water. I hosted friends. Cooked for myself. Slept like I hadn't in years. One Saturday morning, I stood on my balcony with a mug of coffee, looking out over the city. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. No expectations. Just wanted to say, we're proud of you. Always should have been. Hope you're doing well. No manipulation. No ask. Just words. I stared at it for a long moment, then typed back. I am. Thanks. Not forgiveness. Not forgetting. But maybe a beginning. Later that week, I got a plain envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a check. $15,000. Brooke's handwriting on the sticky note. Final repayment. I meant what I said. I folded it slowly, then placed it in a drawer with the rest. Not to cash. Just to keep. Proof that I wasn't crazy. That boundaries work. That some debts, when repaid, aren't about the money at all. I wasn't the angry son anymore. I wasn't the overlooked sibling. I was Nate. Homeowner. Boundary setter. The brother who finally chose himself. And never looked back.